How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Excellent.
Let me just get settled
Oh, look,
here.
you've got all dressed up. You've got a shirt on there. Look at me in
Oh
a
my
hoodie.
God, I always wear this. How
Anyway,
you
so just
doing?
to introduce you, I'm Gavin, who you've obviously been talking to.
Yeah,
We got Scott, who's in Chicago,
it's God.
Hey,
and
don't
Kelly.
mind the tropics.
Yeah,
I was going to put something like
that's
that
not
on
real.
tonight.
And
Nobody
Kelly's.
would, nobody would believe it. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying Kelly's back in the UK.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, how are you?
This is international.
It
It
is.
is.
We're all over the place.
Where are you, Gavin?
I'm in Cole Harbour.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
we're close. You and I are fairly close.
yeah. You at New Glasgow way? Is that where you're based?
No, out the Eastern Shore.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, not too far then.
No,
And you're obviously used to like Cole Harbour anyway, because you obviously there was a lot of filming done at one point, wasn't there? Here, so yeah,
we started shooting in Cole Harbor. Gosh, I have to remember. I think it was season 5.
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you know.
I do. Yeah,
Gavin, I'll defer to every question to you.
yeah, yeah.
Every
Well,
question
I know Mike Smith quite well, and often he'll be telling me something, and he'll have it wrong. He's got it wrong, and he's talking about, and I'm like, that's not right, and he just looks at me and laughs, and he goes, "Yeah, you obviously know your stuff."
a few years ago, I'm just kind of trying to get this thing set up properly here. A few years ago, I did a show for CBC about the Canada-Russia 72 hockey series. And I had done so much research on that. And I interviewed all of the key players, coaches, and I knew more than they did. Of course, I had researched that they hadn't, it was at least 30 years after the event took place. So everything in their mind was not as fresh as mine. So
Oh, right.
I would do the same thing. I would correct them on who scored goals and what the scores of games were. So yeah,
Yeah. So sometimes I feel a bit rude because I'm like, they've got that wrong, but I need to tell them.
better to know, better to have the
Yeah.
truth.
Exactly. So how have you been? Obviously, because like for the likes of the Trailer Park Boys fans, we obviously haven't seen you for over 10 years now. So how have you been doing?
Well, I've been well. I have been trying to keep busy and have other projects on the go. I took a bit of a break after we left. Mike Clattenburg and I left the show. I think I think we sort of got out of it officially in 2013, right after the last movie, the third movie, which I think was called "Don't Legalize It." You can correct me, Gavin.
Yeah. You're nervous now, aren't you, to get it wrong?
So I took a bit of a break. It's a slog. I think anybody who's involved in a TV series will tell you that it's a slog, and um, it's fun. It's great fun, of course, and the shooting is fun. But it's so time consuming. You don't have time for much of anything else, really, including working on other projects. So no, I took a bit of a break. I'd say a couple of years, 2 or 3 years after.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well
it was
earned, a
fun.
well earned break indeed.
Oh, thanks.
So we'll touch on Trailer Park Boys in a little bit, but I just want to know. Obviously, you were. I spoke to you about this on the phone as well, and you were going to kind of get into it and then stopped. But you were like a street performer in Eastern Europe, like many years ago. I'm
Yeah.
just curious, like, what did you do? Like, what was that? What did that entail?
Well, it was in the mid 70s. I went to theater school in the UK, actually. Kelly, where are you from in the UK?
By Liverpool, so
Oh,
a little bit
nice.
north.
Same as me.
Yeah, yeah,
I know London well though.
yeah. I went to London. I lived there for a couple of years going to theater school. And when I was going to theater school, I hate to talk about this because my wife constantly embarrasses me about it. And I said, but I got involved with the mime company. Now you can pause
Okay.
here. You
Oh
can
wow.
pause here for snide comments. Go ahead.
We're expecting you to give us an example.
Yeah, that's the mime thing's not going to work on audio though, is it?
When I was in my 20s, my body was far more lithe than it is now. So anyway, I got involved with this theater company, and through the theater school that I was attending, And we were invited to perform in Yugoslavia, which at the time was Yugoslavia. I was in Zagreb, which is now Croatia. But so we went there on student visas, if memory serves me correctly. Yeah, student visas. We weren't professional. And a friend of mine, two or three of us got together, and we were in Croatia, I would say, in Zagreb for I don't know, at least 6 weeks or so. And we would go down to the main square, and that's as much as I can tell you. I was totally embarrassing myself. Is that okay, Gavin? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, like did you? Was it like busking? Did you make some money doing it?
Well, yeah, no, we didn't make much money, but yeah, it's like busking. You were sort of on the street. You see it a lot more now, and you see it from far better performers than I was. I mean,
Yeah,
we probably didn't make much money because we weren't very good, but yeah, it wasn't much. And people in Zagreb, and this would be 1976, maybe 77, um, weren't too giving out their hard-earned money, right?
yeah,
In 76, Yugoslavia was still part of the somewhat, I don't know if it was officially part of the Iron Curtain, but it was certainly a communist country and not altogether affluent, I would say. So people didn't give a lot of money, but they were always very kind. And
yeah,
and I think they had a real European. Well, what am I telling you, Kelly? You know this. You lived there, right? Europeans have a real understanding of culture more so than we do, in the sense that they have broader interests, I think. So I think in 75, 76, we were there attending a theater festival. We were performing at a theater festival. Uh, and there were countries from Romania, um, Hungary, UK, probably France. So a lot of countries from Western and Eastern Europe, and their shows were extremely well attended. I mean, they would be sellouts in venues that must have sat 3, 4, 500 people. So, I don't think something like that would have happened. Not in Dartmouth, I don't think. Maybe I don't want
Now,
to say
how
anything,
how
but
did
I
you
don't
go
think so.
from
Although things are different, but certainly, yeah, people were very nice. They were very
how'd,
friendly.
how'd you go from a street performer in Eastern Europe to being back in Canada and being an actor?
Well, I graduated in 70, the years of 76, I think it was. I came back to Canada after graduating from theater school, and I looked for work as an actor. And I would say the first year or two was very tough. And I lived in Halifax, so I mean, it was the wrong thing to do in many ways to stay in Halifax to look for work as an actor. My brother, who went to theater school with me, he went to Toronto, which is where the equivalent, I guess, Scotty, would be, in the United States, you go to New York or LA, right? Although
Yeah,
Chicago has a really vibrant, I mean, a lot of great actors and comedians have come out of Chicago, as I'm sure you know.
yeah.
But anyway, I stayed in Halifax, and I think it was a struggle. I tell you, it was a real struggle. You know, Finally, in Gavin, I forget what year it was. Do you remember what year I went to Toronto? Oh, you don't know that answer.
Well, yeah, I'm a little bit stuck on that one.
I think it was 77. I think I went up to Toronto. Yeah, it was in the fall of 77. I went to Toronto, and I was married at the time to a different person. And we tried to survive in theater. And I got a couple of jobs, and they didn't pay well, but I think I made $90 a week, which
Back then's not too bad, is
a
it?
lot of money, but at the time, in 1977, it wasn't bad. I don't think you could live on it. I think my partner at the time was working, I think. And then the funny thing is, I was performing at this theater company in Toronto, and a company called Factory Theater Lab. I think it still exists. Anyway, and there was a handwritten notice on the bulletin board, like hand scribbled, looking for actors in Nova Scotia, new theater company. And I thought, oh, what the hell, you know? So I applied and I got the job. Came back to Nova Scotia and worked with this theater company for, I think, 3 years. And I also worked at Neptune, worked with John Dunsworth. John and I worked, first time I had known of John Dunsworth, because John was quite a legend in Halifax long before I knew him. John ran a theater company called I think it was Pure 21. I could be wrong about that, but it doesn't matter. And John did some really interesting work. And so I got my first job on the professional stage, if you like, at Neptune Theater in Halifax in a play, a Shakespearean play, Othello. And I had one line. And I think John had 2 or 3, I forget. Anyway, John introduced me to professional theater in Halifax. And ever since then, John and I John and I worked together many times over the years. And, and stayed good friends. And then became a bit different, I think, once in a sense that being a producer of a show, you're kind of the boss of the show. I don't know, do you guys ever have to be boss of a friend?
No, that'd be quite awful.
It would be difficult, yeah.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but I definitely make it a policy now not to get involved with my best friends, try not to get involved in projects together, because they don't always end up well. But anyway, John and I worked together for quite a long time.
How does that differ then? Sorry,
go ahead.
To your,
sorry, Kelly? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Where's my mic? Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, how does it differ going from theatre to TV? And did the audience differ from country to country?
Yeah, that's a really good, interesting question. Yeah, the two styles of acting are quite different. Are you guys okay with my image here? Am I washed out? Okay.
Listen, we're putting up with Scott's tropical one there, so don't worry about it. Fine, honestly.
Scott, you're gonna have to tell me how you did that. Is that one of those backgrounds, a virtual background?
Yeah.
Or are you on Lake Michigan right now?
No, I wish that was Lake Michigan.
I'm just hoping a seagull flies over and shits on him, to be honest.
But go back to your question, Kelly. Yeah, the two techniques are quite different. And well, I'm trying to remember. I should have brushed up on my dates, but I did a TV half-hour drama in Halifax, and the director there took a liking to me. He brought me on to CBC, where I worked for 7 years in the drama department. And we did, and while I was there, I didn't do so much acting as I did writing, network executive stuff. Very boring. Wouldn't want to do it again, but it was a nice time in my life. I don't know how TV executives do it. I really don't know. I think they must have, I don't know. I would be bored. I was bored. And anyway, I don't think I've answered your question, Kelly, but going back to answer part of your question, Kelly, about the differences in audiences, just taking Trailer Park Boys as an example. And Scott, you are an American, right? You're from the United States?
Yes, sir.
Trailer Park Boys did extremely well, obviously, in Canada, but not right away. There was a hardcore group of Trailer Park Boys fans in that first year, and thank God for that, because they kept the show going. It could easily have been one and done with that show. It was amazing that we got it off the ground to begin with. But with Trailer Park Boys, we did extremely well in Canada. We sold, I think, Kelly, to the UK. I'm not sure what networks it may have been on. I do know this, that we sold in Ireland. My family doctor at the time is, stop me, any one of you, anytime, if this gets really boring. Because I promise you, I can.
No, it's fine. It's just fascinating, honestly. It's really great.
But my family doctor in Halifax was Irish. I sure where. I'm not sure if he was from Northern Ireland or the Republic. But anyway, one day I'm in having a checkup or something, and he says, I just heard from my nephew in Ireland who loves a show called Trailer Park Boys. He asked my doctor, did he know anything about it? And he said, well, yes. I have I don't know how much confidential information. Anyway, I put together a whole package of Trailer Park Boys stuff, gave it to the doctor to send to Ireland. So my point was that in Ireland, it did very well. Now we sold to other countries like Scandinavia and Spain. I've never seen how they've dubbed those shows. I'm curious. But to finally answer your question, Kel, we did not do very well in the United States. I think we first sold to, I think first was BBC America, which was a very niche channel.
Right.
And I don't know how many episodes, how many seasons they showed. Then I think we went to the comedy channel. Yeah, the comedy channel. And again, it didn't do all that well. And of course, Comedy Channel and BBC America both bleeped. So you can imagine what Trailer Park Boys would sound like bleeped. I mean, it would be essentially just, it would really ruin the flow.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like in that episode where Ricky says, if I can't smoke and swear, I'm fucked. It was like, if we can't swear on TV, we're fucked. Nobody's going to watch the show because it just really, not that, I mean, Ricky Roy Wells is a master at swearing. I think he could give courses to teach actors how to swear naturally, because he could do it. Bubbles could do it as well. To be honest, I wasn't as good at it. I think, and I don't think Jim Leahy ever swore, if I recall correctly. But anyway, Ricky. So they just didn't do well in the United States. And we made our first movie, our first Trailer Park Boys movie. We made that Ivan Reitman.
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters and so many other great movies.
Yeah, I'm just a huge Ghostbusters fan. That's why.
I mean, it's not a cult. It's a huge movie. It's a wonderful movie.
Yeah.
And he executive produced that very first episode. And we screened it in Toronto as part of the Toronto Film. It wasn't in the Toronto Film Festival, but we screened it during the Toronto Film Festival because all of the network buyers were there. And Ivan set this thing up. He invited all of his, and he knows everybody in Hollywood. So virtually every big Hollywood buyer was at the screening. And Ivan fully expected, after the movie, the phone to start ringing immediately with offers to buy the movie. And it was a study in humanity because we're all in this room together. Ivan was telling us what to say, what not to say. Let me do all the talking. 5 minutes after we're all sitting there, the phone doesn't ring. 10 minutes, not a call. Half an hour, not a call. Nobody in the United States wanted to buy that movie.
Wow.
So yeah, there you go, Kel. I mean, audiences are different. I don't know why it didn't take off in the United States the way it did. There were shows that came out after Trailer Park Boys in the United States. I think there was a show called My Name is Earl.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
I think I saw a couple of those episodes. I mean, I think it tried to copy, and actually there was some interest from buyers to buy what they call the format rights of the show. Essentially, the format rights, and stop me if you guys know this, but the format rights are just the right to essentially create, like The Office in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They bought the format rights to do it in the United States with Stephen Carell, right? And so there was some interest, but I don't know why it just never materialized. National Lampoon was interested in buying it, but they wanted to call it National Lampoon Trailer Park Boys.
Oh no, that wouldn't work.
Yeah, which just didn't feel right to us, So
yeah.
Anyway,
which is weird because now it's massive in the States. Like it's I think it's bigger there than it is in Canada now.
Is it really?
I think so. Yeah, I think
hit...
since Netflix picked it up, it's like it's definitely because they've done tours and stuff, and they do the Comic Cons and things now, and it's always in the States. Sometimes they do Canada, but Yeah. Yeah,
I
it's
first
completely
heard of
turned
it.
around.
I first heard of it when it hit Netflix, and then it was like a raging fire. It just boom, like it went off crazy, and
Yeah.
everybody was talking about it.
What,
And
when did you first watch the show, Sky? What year?
2000, Gavin, 11, 10,
So yeah, so
2010.
okay, so we were well into it.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you, when you watched the first season, did you say to yourself, what is this?
The
This looks so.
no, well, like the first season, the first couple episodes was about character development and teaching you about who's who,
Mhm.
and at first I'm like, I'll stick with this, I'll stick with this, and then it just got crazier and crazier. Here you got Ray riding around in a wheelchair, looking over his shoulders, trying to evade, like insurance or whatever, and these three guys were always going to jail at the end of the season, and uh man, it just was like everybody was talking about it down here.
Well,
And
I guess it took Netflix to do that. Um, I have to give the boys the credit because when my last season working on the show was season 7. Um, it doesn't mean anything, I suppose, because you don't know what the season numbers are. They took it over, did season 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm not sure how many they did. Then it went
They did
animated
12.
in 12.
Yeah.
After John died, I think they went to an animated show. Uh, so I guess it did well. And the boys have always been on the road doing, performing the show. I think Bubbles is on the road now. I think he's making.
Yeah, he did. I think they wrapped it up. It's coming out next year, and new movie.
You know more about it than I do, Gav.
Yeah. Well, I was in it
He's
as
got
well.
the
I was an
actor,
extra
hasn't
in it. So we did a day's filming, which was great fun.
So are you sworn to secrecy? You can't tell me what it's about?
I can tell you, but I won't tell you on the podcast.
Tell me the title. I think I know the title, but
It's
just
called
continue.
Bubbles and the Shit Rockers.
Yeah,
It basically follows Bubbles' band around Europe.
right,
So
right.
yeah,
Are the other boys in it, like a Rob and
they're
JP?
in it as well. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's focused mainly on Bubbles, but the other guys are in it too.
yeah. Well, I mean, talk about right up the alley. Talk about working with your strengths. Of course, Mike is such a good uh, performer,
Yeah,
musician. To create that character of Bubbles and the Shit Rockers. I mean, and I bet he's got a lot of good people playing with him too.
yeah, it's a solid band. It is a
Yeah,
solid band. Yeah, I've seen him play a few times.
yeah. Well, good for them.
Yeah, so like when it came time to you to obviously you and Mike Lattenberg, you sold the rights to the boys. Was that hard? Was that a hard decision for you, or were you ready at that point to go, you know what, it's time to kind of pass the torch on?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I was ready, and I think Mike C was. I hate to speak for Mike,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think we felt it was time um, to move on. Um, it was very hard for Mike Clattenburg because Mike was the key creative force in that show,
Yeah.
and so Mike had to constantly come up with new episode ideas, and there are. It was just time. I think it was just time for Mike
Yeah.
and I to get out. I think it was. Uh, I missed it in some ways, but in a lot of ways, I think it was the right decision.
Yeah.
If there's a, you don't, and I think it maybe in some ways it's already happened to some degree. You get sort of typecast. I mean, Mike Smith, I can't. Well, Mike, I think is probably a very good actor, and Rob has done other work outside of Trailer Park Boys. I'm not
Yeah.
sure about John Paul. So I mean, they've done at least Rob has done a good job of not being typecast, as Ricky. But you do the same thing after a while, and it forecloses on every other project that you want to do. And there were other projects that I wanted to do. That I think in some ways, having Trailer Park Boys over my head was I think there was a lot of condescension. Let's put it that way from
Yeah.
the big mucky mucks in
I get you.
Toronto. who thought that, oh, what a quaint little show those Maritimers did, and it's not real TV, and they're not really actors, and they're not really writers, And I think what pissed them off the most was that we created a show, arguably the top rated comedy in Canada in years and years and years, that they have never
Definitely.
been able to create and still haven't created. Now, I there are some shows out there I'm sure that guys could comment on that I haven't seen, that Canadian comedies. I don't know. I don't really watch much anymore. Do you
No,
guys watch a lot of Canadian TV? I bet you, Scott, I bet you don't even know what Canadian TV is outside
No,
of.
I do. I watch a lot of Canadian comedies like Corner Gas, Letterkenny, uh, uh, Trailer Park Boys, of course.
Yeah.
Pink is in. I watch quite more up there than I do down here.
Is that right? Well, yeah, Corner Gas had a nice run, didn't they? And I think is Letterkenny. I don't know. I have not seen that show. Is
it's
it still
okay.
on?
I mean, they say it rivals Trailer Park Boys. I don't think it does. It's kind of it's a certain niche, I suppose. It's got
Yeah.
it's got a certain kind of fan.
Does it?
It's not for me.
Yeah.
Scott likes it.
Yeah, I like it.
Do you get it over in the UK, Kelly?
No, I tend to watch when I visit Gavin in Cole Harbour.
Yeah, she watches it all when she comes over here.
I mean, Britain and comedy go hand in hand. I mean, Britain has created so many wonderful comedy shows. I think I'd have to say I have two favorite TV shows. The Office, the British version.
Yeah, brilliant.
And I even hate to say the British version because to me there is only one.
Yeah,
Office.
I mean,
Yeah.
I like the American one, but the British one's definitely the best. Ricky Gervais
Oh,
is a genius.
So good. Ricky Gervais is so clever, so funny. And the other one, which was the Larry Sanders Show with Gary Shandling. Do you guys ever
Oh
watch
yeah,
that?
yeah. I haven't seen that, no, but I know of it.
No, he's gone now. He's long gone, but the show has been on for years. But those are my go-to shows when I'm. So yeah, no, Gab, was time. I think it was time to leave, and and the guys certainly had the creative energy to keep going, and I think that's and more power to them, and they've done extremely well with it. So
Yeah. Well, I remember at the I was at the premiere for the third movie that was your last involvement with the show. And right before they showed the movie, you got up and gave a speech. This was in Halifax in the Oxford, I believe. That was it called the
Yeah.
Oxford? Yeah.
yes,
And you gave a really nice sort of send-off speech. It was so nice. And then I knew afterwards we were going to do like an after party, and I was like, oh, I've got to meet Barry. And you weren't there, or at least I didn't see you there. But that speech that you gave was really nice. It was really nice.
thank you. Now that you mention it, I kind of remember it. Which goes back to you knowing more about these things than I do. No, I tend not to go to the parties, to tell you the truth. I'm not a party guy, and again, you and I were talking before, doing this podcast I've been nervous about this all week.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
so
funny.
many fans worldwide.
I don't, it's that thing. Here's the thing. I don't like to watch interviews about actors. I think especially when they talk about their work, they sound so self-important. And I always think that people, when they're going to watch this, and they're going to think one of two things. Oh, Barrie Dunn, no, that's where he is. He's in Nova Scotia. And the other ones are going to think, what a fucking asshole. And I probably
No one's going to
say,
think that.
is it okay?
No, honestly,
No,
I promise you.
I'm not looking for, but that's what I think, because that's what I think when I watch interviews. I think, oh God, what a.
But it's funny because you say that, but it's like, it's insane to me to even think that, because like you created this character and you played this character, because that's obviously what you're most known for, is playing Ray. And it's been over 10 years. And I'm not just saying this, but Ray is one of the fan favorite characters. And even though it's been 10 years, your character is still a huge part of the show. So which is a testament to you as an actor, obviously, and a producer. So for you to come on and say, I don't really know what people would want to know about me. They're going to think I'm an asshole. Like it's so foreign to me, because it's not the case at all. People will love just hearing your voice after this many years.
That's funny. I mean, Ray had some great lines. You know, there's no question he had some of the best lines in the
Best
show.
character on the show.
Well, you know, he did have some good lines, but no, I always felt insecure about the part. And it's funny, you know, it's funny. I uh, I I guess I'm known for playing Ray on the show, but you know, I this is the pompous in me, and this is the arrogance in me, and this is why I think people will, after they hear me talk, will think, "What a dick." You know, I would like to be remembered as the guy who brought Trailer Park Boys to television and co-wrote the first two seasons. You know, that I
Yeah.
had a big part in the creative development of the show. That's far more important to me. Although that's the behind the scenes stuff. The visible
Yeah.
stuff is the character Ray. But here's an example, and we were, I think we were filming. Oh gosh, can't remember this, guys. I'm sorry. But we were filming. I think we were shooting the last movie, the Trailer Park Boys 3 movie, and we were shooting at Massey Hall in Toronto, which is equivalent to, I guess, I don't know. It's the music venue in
Yeah.
Toronto. It's not like the big massive stadium, but it's an intimate venue where all the musical acts love to perform. Anyway, we were shooting there, and after the show, I wasn't in the show. I was there with Mike Clattenburg. We were shooting some scenes, I think, for the last movie. And oh shoot, what was I going to say? Somebody just came into my door. Oh yeah, okay. So yes, so after the show, there's some people waiting downstairs to hope to meet the boys, right? The three boys. And I stayed upstairs, but I could see outside, and I was on the exit stairs. I was sort of standing on the stairs, and I didn't go down to meet people because I this was my thought. They don't want to meet me. They want to talk to the boys, and if I go down there, they're just going to think that I am butting into the boys' popularity. So afterwards, I heard this comment that I was stuck up from not going down because, you know, and it's funny, people, you know, you make, and it's a fair assumption that person made, but it's so wrong because people don't know. I think actors are generally insecure. I was always insecure as an actor. You know?
Yeah. No, you're very humble about it. You are like, you know, even just getting you to do this. I know it's a big deal to you. That's why, I mean, that which in turn made me nervous because I'm like, he doesn't do interviews and he's agreed to do this. Like, this is really special that he's coming on. And
Well,
And you know, Barry, Gavin and I, we've actually talked for years about getting you on, you know, and we know it's a big honor to have you on with us. So when he said that he talked to you, it was like, wow, can't wait. You know, like your character and what you do is like so legendary.
thanks, guys.
yeah, and
Thank
like,
you.
although you'll, you know, just because of the fans, you'll be remembered mostly for Ray. There's a lot of
No,
people as
that's for
well.
sure.
But there's a
Yeah.
lot of people as well that do know what you did behind the scenes. And so, I mean, like the DVDs when they came out, there's so much behind the scenes stuff on them. And I've watched them a million times. And it's really interesting stuff. It genuinely is. And like, that was one thing I really wanted to talk to you about was the producing side of things. It wasn't just about playing
Yeah, no, fair
character.
enough.
So,
Fair
because I
enough.
know that's your true passion. I mean, the acting was, you're obviously passionate about that, but your true passion is the producing. And
Well, it is now. I mean, I started off as an actor and worked as an actor for quite a few years, but now, you know, it was always tough, and I guess I just didn't have the fortitude and the perseverance that so many, you know, that you need to make it as an actor. So yeah, I love producing. I think I love writing more than producing, but you know, um, and I try to spend a lot of my time writing. I know Mike Clattenburg is doing a lot of writing too these days, um, from what he's told me. So that's always fun. It's nice to be able to write. You at least get to control initially the process. Eventually, broadcast executives get involved and fuck it up. But you know, we were
yeah,
lucky with Showcase. We were lucky with Showcase. I mean, when we first pitched Showcase, I mean, we were just in the right place at the right time. Trailer Park Boys would never happen today if anybody came to a network with that concept, that show. Wouldn't in a million years happen.
yeah. Right
But
place, right time.
Yeah, right place, right time, Gavin. It's exactly what it was, you know. We approached Showcase, who at the time their license, their Canadian license, broadcast license was up for renewal. There was pressure for them to spend money on Canadian programming, and we just happened to be there at the right place. And there was somebody there at Showcase. I think the guy who I would want to give credit to was Norm Boland. Norm was a senior VP there, and I am fairly sure Norm was the guy that greenlit this project. Not that it matters because Norm is long retired and nobody would know him anymore. But I just want to give a shout out to Norm Boland because I'm pretty sure he was the guy that greenlit the show. And and it wasn't easy. And broadcasters are putting money in it. They have every right to impose their ideas and their thoughts. But that first year, man, that was tough. We fought them on virtually everything. I mean, and we were lucky because we had a strong sense of what the show could be and should be. And they were more interested in doing traditional kind of drama, traditional kind of storytelling. But anyway, they came around to us, and we developed a good relationship with those guys. But thank God, because it
Yeah.
would have been a miserable 7 years. But yeah, it was tough to get off the ground, and they stuck with it, and get on them. And I have met, honest to God, guys, I have met so many cool people who watch Trailer Park Boys. I couldn't even begin to tell you so many of the people that I have met. Just randomly on the streets, people come up and say hello. I think sometimes people feel shy to do so, but my God, I have people that actually, I was in the Toronto airport one day, and I I was thinking the lineup, and my wife was with me, and this guy approached my wife, and I could see them talking. I had no idea what they were talking about, and then my wife came over to me and said, there's a young fellow here from Sudbury. I don't know his name, so I can't divulge it. Sudbury, Ontario, which is northern Ontario. It was a mining town, hard luck town, but he wanted to know if he could come over to meet you. He was so shy. He actually went to my wife to ask my wife
Oh,
what
that's
was it.
nice.
And his story was so heartwarming, guys. He was on his way somewhere. I think he was on his way out to Alberta to work in the oil fields. I'm not exactly sure. They were hard up for money. They just had a kid, and he was taking off. The first time he was away from his family, and he wanted just to say, I even get choked up about it now. To think that we gave him so much. He said, I'm going there with my DVDs, and that's what's going to make me feel like I'm always at home, because he and his wife used to watch the show all the time. And if you can if you can have that kind of a relationship with the viewer, holy Christ! I mean, we've
Yeah.
done,
And the thing is as well, that's one guy, but that has happened so much around the
yeah,
world with loads of people. And there's a couple that me and Scott know. One guy from the UK and she's from the US. They got married recently and they met because of their love for Trailer Park Boys. So it literally does bring people together.
it's nice. It's a nice legacy to have been part of, and we're all part of it. I mean, you guys are part of it. Everybody's part of it, because if not for you guys, it would long ago have died. And people are telling me now that I could be grandfather. I'm not. I'm certainly old enough, right? And now the kids of parents are watching the show again. Like, I'm hearing about 14 and 15 and 16-year-olds
Yeah.
who are coming to Trailer Park Boys brand new. It's like having a whole new audience all over again.
It is all the time.
Cool.
And like, that's the
Cool.
thing as well. Like, your work will forever live on, which must be amazing to feel, to know that.
When I think about that, and when I think about all of the good times, for sure,
We look at
it's
someone like John Dunsworth, who's obviously no longer with us anymore, but like Jim Leahy, he's going to live on forever. He's always going to be around, and we can always watch the show, and there he is, in all his glory.
John was one of the most complex people I'd ever known in my life. He was, yeah, he was quite a guy, John. he has left a legacy. John had a legacy, I think, before Trailer Park Boys, certainly in this area.
Yeah, everyone knows him.
Certainly Trailer Park Boys cemented it. And his character, Jim Leahy, I mean, well, you can say that about every character in the show. I mean, Randy. I know that Trevor, sorry, what's his name? Mike, of course.
Michael Jackson.
What is his name?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. I'm just so bad.
How can you forget that one?
Well, I know, but I mean, I loved working with Michael, and I know he said some bad things about us online. I have never read the comments, but I've been told he said some pretty mean things.
Yeah.
About us. But I loved working with Mike as an actor. He was funny. He was one guy on set who could make me break up on set and room takes. Mike was a great guy. He and I have no idea what's happened to Mike since then. I'm sure
he's kind of gone off the radar. We don't hear anything. I know he's been involved in different bands and things over the years.
Yeah, he was a musician, and he worked as a grip, I think, on a lot of. I mean, maybe he still does.
Yeah.
Mike was never an actor, to my knowledge. I don't think Mike ever started as an actor. But if you guys ever watched that have you ever watched the original Trailer Park Boys, the black and white?
Yeah.
He and everybody in that. I mean, that's when I first saw that movie. I thought, oh my God, this is. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen characters like this. I've never, Nova Scotian characters were not wearing fishing hats and, because that's what everybody thinks of with Nova Scotia.
That's the stereotypical, yeah.
Fishermen and here you get these guys. And I thought Mike Jackson and Corey Bowles as Trevor and Corey.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they were funny.
Amazing.
And of course, Ricky and Julian. I mean, that original black and white.
Well, my wife warned me because we met online and I came to visit and she said, listen, there's a TV show that's filmed here. And you may have seen it because I know that it's available in the UK. She said, we don't live like that. I don't want you to think that's what my family's like. We're not like that. Like, we don't run around with guns and things. And I'd never heard of it. And I was like, I remember going to a bowling alley and there was a picture of the boys up like behind where the counter was. I don't know why, but I think it was signed. And she said, that's it. That's the Trailer Park Boys. And I'm looking at it like that. I've never seen it. Anyway, one day while she was at work and I was over here, I put it on TV and it was on. And I just fell in love with it straight away. It reminded me, there's a TV show called Reno 911.
Yeah.
Spoof, it's kind of a spoofy thing like Trailer Park Boys. And I just fell in love. And then I went to Blockbuster because that was still around and rented everything they had, Trailer Park Boys, brought it home and just watched the whole thing. And then I've been a fan ever since.
Oh man, that's going way back. I mean,
yeah,
that's going back to the early days. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure. If there are any specific questions
there is, I've got one question for you, and this is going to put you on the spot now. But be completely honest. If they asked you to go back to just to act, just to play Ray for a one-off like scene, if you like, would you consider doing that? Would you consider going back? Or are you like, no, I'm done?
Yeah.
If they said, we'll pay you well, we'll look after you, like, would you go back?
It wouldn't be anything about the money. I would say no.
Yeah.
I would say no. I think I've done my bit. I remember the very last scene I shot in the third movie, the Trailer Park Boys movie, was the scene where Ray is at the dump and he's explaining that he made $11,000. He's set for
That's
life.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
That was the last
hilarious
scene. And I remember at the end of that thinking, and I actually have it written in my calendar and I'll never erase it, Ray's last day. And I'm very happy with that. And it has nothing to do with the boys. I think it has for me. Gavin, I mean, look, I say no. You never say never. Circumstances change, but as of right now, this moment, I would say no.
Yeah. I think that he had the perfect send off as well. I mean, that third movie starts out where he's essentially passed away, and then at the end there's like this little thing, this little video that he's still around. I actually got choked up when I seen that in the theater. I mean, my wife was with me and she was like, "Oh," because it was really sweet that he just snuck in this little video to Ricky to say that he was still around, and that's how I like to remember, Ray.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, This is very, very good. You guys have made this process very,
This has
very
been
easy.
this has been
and I thank
amazing.
you.
Honestly, like you definitely don't, because you're so humble. You definitely don't realize how much this means to us. Honestly,
It was a pleasure. You guys, it was nice to meet you. I hope that we meet in person someday. Scott, I can't wait to get to the tropics with you in Chicago. I had no idea Chicago had palm trees, but that's good.
I pop up to Cole Harbor every now and then to see Gavin. So
yeah,
And Kelly,
definitely.
you're in Liverpool now, eh? Are you
What's
in
that?
Liverpool now?
That's where
Kelly.
Kelly is. Yeah.
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 Kelly,
Yeah.
you're in Liverpool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can maybe all meet one day.
Let's go
I
for the
come and
drink.
visit
Harbour
Gavin.
Deck.
Next time she's down, we'll go for the drink. Well, I'll buy you the
You
drink.
know what? That sounds like a good deal.
Okay, right. One last thing before you go.
Yeah.
Can you say just once? I hate to do this. Can you say? You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
It's either Way She Goes or Way of the Road or Guy
Where
in the
she
Jeep.
goes, it's gotta be. We gotta get that off you, Barry.
Way she goes, boys. Way she fucking goes. The best I can do.
Perfect.
It's been 10 years.
Yeah, well, we see we got the exclusive on that. That was perfect. Oh no,
Way she
honestly,
fucking goes.
Barry,
All right.
Barry, thank you so much. It's
Thanks,
been
guys.
I could speak to you for another 3 hours. Honestly, it's been absolutely lovely. Thank you so much.
Well, it was a pleasure, and thanks for making this enjoyable. I appreciate it.
Thanks
Oh,
very
nice
much,
to
man.
meet
You
you,
take
Barry.
care. Hopefully, we'll see you soon.
Nice meeting all of you guys.
Bye, Barry.
Bye now.
Same.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.